Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Tuesday, December the 8th, the year's 2020. Let's talk trading. Preserving Capital Part 2 with Walmal. And just to let you know, these videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and differ from Walmal's. Walmal, Preserving Capital. Where did we leave off yesterday?
I think we were talking about this whole idea that, the reality is that capital is your number one tool. It's the most important tool you have in the toolbox, because without that tool, you can't do anything. It'd be sort of like a carpenter without wood. How can you go and build a piece of furniture if you don't have wood in the first place? Well, we need our wood. We got to make sure that we have enough wood to go and preserve our trading. And the thing is, a carpenter, he's got the advantage that hopefully he's got enough capital behind him where he can go back down to the lumber store and buy more wood if he runs out. But we've got a problem, and that is that if we don't preserve our capital, well, how do we get more capital? And it becomes a real challenge, for us as traders. And so, well, if I run out of capital because I blow an account up, or I really take a really bad drawdown, maybe not blow the account out. Well, what do I have to do? Well, I need to go and find an additional source of income to go and start over again. And or I have to go and dip back into my lifetime savings and pull more money out. And what is that going to do to you? It's going to cause all types of problems for you. It's going to cause all types of psychological problems. If you're like me, where you're starting to get to, close to retirement age, if I keep on going into my retirement to go and pull money out of that so that I can go and fund this dream of being a trader, and I don't preserve my capital properly, well, I've got a couple of things that can go against me. One, potentially I'm now starting to go and impact how I'm going to live in retirement. Secondarily, I'm going to start having a little bit of panic. I got to make this work. I've got to make this work. And so now you're sitting there trying to trade under some unrealistic pressure that you're putting on yourself. And I don't know about you, TRO, but I know me that when I put myself under pressure like that, it really causes me to have some problems. I started to, that first screen that you always put up on all your videos, regret of this and regret of that. And one of the regrets I start having is regret of missing out, or, a fear of missing out, or all those other regrets start to play more heavily in your trading plan.
Yeah, you're talking about the brain management.
Exactly. It's sort of like the most important tool, I keep on saying, is your capital and preserving your capital. But your trading, I've said this before, and I'll just continue saying that is that if you don't manage your brain, you don't manage your emotions, you don't manage how you get into a trade and how you get out of a trade, well, you're gonna bust yourself up. You're gonna get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, because I've been having a rough patch, and hey, yesterday I used a few things that would have been bleeped out during prime time.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. If you would have been trading full, it could have really messed you up. And that's so. What do? We have to go and make sure that we've got a good, solid trading plan behind us that goes and protects us. And I started talking about that yesterday a little bit. This whole idea that I got a dollar figure. I'm willing to go and lose this many dollars for the day, period. And once I hit that, I'm done. I'm done for the day. And I have a number I'm willing to go and risk to lose for the entire month. And if I hit, I don't care if it's the third day of the month. Okay, and I've got theoretically another 17 or 18 more days I could go and trade that month. If I hit that number, I'm done. I got to wait till next month. I got to go put a stop in place and preserve that capital. Sit down, spend some time, figure out what I'm doing wrong. I've been very fortunate that over the last 6 to 9 months, I don't think I've had a losing month. In fact, I don't think I've had a losing week. I've had losing days. We all have. But I don't think I've had a losing month in all of that time. But that doesn't mean the rule goes away. That rule's still there. If I hit that number, I'm gone. And I just got to go and sit there and figure out, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with my head? Is it my head, or Maybe the market's changed. I know TRO, I know you trade on statistics, and so do I. Well, maybe it's time to go back and look at the statistics. Maybe market conditions have changed so much that those statistics are no longer holding true, and we need to go and make some adjustments to our trading because of that. I don't know what the reason may be, but I do know that I need that stop gate in place to go and prevent me from going and doing something devastating to the money I've worked really, really hard to get. And there's no other way to say this, but when you're trading, that's hard, okay? It's simple to place to trade, but it's really hard to make money. And let's not fool ourselves to think that. And so that's hard-earned cash in the bank when you make it. And I don't want that going away. And the money that I used to start my account with, well, in past life, I worked really, really hard to build up enough money to be able to trade, and I don't want that to go to waste.
Yeah, that's true. And, like today on the pound, it was a very interesting day. 3 hours ago, it basically did the daily range. And Walmal called out, he goes, it could hit that bottom. It could go all the way back up, hit the top, and then some. And sure enough, it did. And it came almost all the way back down again. And now it's almost all the way back up again.
Yeah, and the thing is, some people will say that's crazy, that it does that. But, I say it all the time that you got to know your currency or your pair or whatever instrument you're trading. You need to know what it does. What the pound has done today is not unusual for the pound to go and do it. If the pound goes and does this, I'm not shocked in the least that it's made a run of 100 and something pips for the day for the daily range, and it's gone coast to coast twice. Ran all the way up, ran all the way down, ran all the way up, and now it's running all the way back down again.
Actually, it started running down. It started. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, that's not an unusual thing for the pound to go and do, and so that's not unfamiliar territory. For me to go and see that. Some people would walk into the pound. In fact, we were on the phone this morning with another trader, and he was just like a little surprised that it was going and doing this, literally running from post to post. And said, no, that's just what the pound does. That's a I'm not saying it happens every day, because it doesn't happen every day, but it will happen, at least 2-3 times a month. And so that's not unusual trading. And that's part of, this is a little bit off topic from preserving your capital, but when you see that, you recognize that pattern. And when you recognize that pattern, okay, I know what this guy's going to go and do. I've seen you do that before, friend. Let's go and play you right. And that's part of also preserving capital as well, because it's recognizing what that particular pair does, what that particular instrument does, and being able to go and react to what it's doing. And when you're able to react to what it's doing because you're on familiar ground, okay, now I know how to go and trade this. And by knowing how to trade it, sure, you may still lose a trade here and there, but at the same time, your odds go up. You got the statistics behind you because you know that the instrument has a tendency to do that.
Yeah, I put up the H1 chart showing the Walmal line and the previous H1 high and low, and it just broke through the previous H1 high. You could have picked up 5 pips right now, just in the past few seconds.
Yep, and it's been doing that all day long. And that's the thing that's been pretty neat about it. It's either been breaking a Walmal line or breaking a previous hour high, and it's just done it consistently hour after hour today. I'm up a ton of pips today, but the thing is, you could every hour up to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours ago, and you could probably even go back further than that. You could have made easy 10 pips every single hour. Just by going and doing that, as long as you went and you put in proper stop losses in place, and you watched it and knew what the market was capable of doing. And it's funny because that one really big candle that you see there with that huge wick on it, I had taken the breakout at the beginning of that hour. I think I got in at 33.10 and took that, and that thing shot through the moon. I think it went up like 75 or.
It went over 90. It went over 90.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I only got 17 bips on it, but as everybody out there knows, I trade for 10 pips a day. I made a full day and a half's worth of pips on that one trade.
Yeah,
okay,
and unfortunately for me, I only got one pip on that. It was just unbelievable, unbelievable. The market, it ran up. I was up about 5 or something. I punched out. It reversed on me, got out with one pip, and then the next thing it took off like a banshee. It was just, I was like, what? All you can do is laugh, because that's trading.
Yeah, and it's funny because, I'll get back to knowing your pair really well. I know what the pound does, and I know the pound does that. And so, but I also know that it takes a breath like that where it'll run up, 7, 8 pips, and then take a breath and just sweep down, and then turn around and sweep right back up again. Well, what I had done in that particular case is that I waited the extra 2 or 3 seconds, but what I also did was I knew that it could go up 10 or 15 pips, and then come right back down and slam back down hard. I actually went and punched out when it was only up maybe 7 or 8 pips, but the momentum of the trade, and by the time it got filled, I actually got out with the 17. Again, that's just knowing what the pound does, and knowing that, that's why I did what I did. And you know what? Just as easily, I could have gotten caught in a downdraft, and it could have turned a little bit earlier. And the next thing you know, I got out when it was sitting there at 7 or 8 pips, and had the exact same results that TRO did, where I only got it maybe a pip or even a point. But that's part of trading, and you just got to go and say, okay, that's just what it is. And, talking about preserving capital again, I know so many guys in that situation get so ticked off. Okay. And what they'll do is they'll just go and just jump right back in. Okay, revenge trade. I'm jumping right back in. You don't have a signal to jump right back in. All you're doing is you're jumping in on momentum. Okay, some people do momentum, but they also usually have some other signal that goes and tells them to jump back in. And you don't have a signal to jump in other than the fact that it's going up. Well, the problem is, it's an old expression, don't try to catch a falling knife, because more times than not, that thing will turn around and just bite you harder than you thought.
Yeah, it'll definitely cut you up. And the thing about it is, I just have to laugh because, something like that I think happened to me yesterday too. And it was just like, you could get mad, or I did, like I said, used a few expletives, but it's one of those things where it goes up like 0.7 and then it reverses like 2.7 in the blink of an eye or something. It's just like, dang it.
Yeah, exactly. And what are you going to do with that?
Yeah, I mean,
what you got to do?
Yeah, so that's why, and then you just start to take pips a lot quicker. It's like you say, hey, I'm just not going to let it reverse on me. If I get 0.5, I get 0.5. If I get 5, I get 5. If I get 50, I get 50. But it's like,
right.
I'm just not going to let it reverse. But sometimes that can work against you, because really that's more managing emotions than it is managing the trade.
Right. But sometimes, again, looking at the pound dollar, sometimes you have to do that. And the reason why I say that is because there are days on the pound dollar where it jumps 5 and then it jumps 5 in the other direction. And it just keeps on doing that back and forth, and it does that all day long. And you've seen me do this on a number of occasions where every time I see +2 in the column, I'm out. I just slam out and just take the 2. And I don't care. I got to look at it and say, I'm going to have no regret on this. I've just seen this happen too many times today, and I'll make my core. It's just that it takes me longer to do it, but sometimes you just got to go and do that. But at the same time, you're exactly right that sometimes what you're doing is you got to be real careful. That are you doing this because you're seeing what the market's doing, or are you doing this because you're trying to manage your emotion so that you're not getting upset? Are you trying to eliminate pain, or are you actually trading what you're seeing the market's actually doing? And that's hard sometimes. And sometimes you need to have a buddy go and say, hey, what are you doing? Are you trading the emotion, or are you trading the market? You know? And you have to have somebody come around and slap you sometimes.
Yeah, 2x4 up against your head. So guess what? The fastest 15 minutes in trading is up again. So fellow traders, we'll probably talk about this again soon. Preserve your capital, because it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.